In keeping score, we're going to add a scoreboard to our game. Make sure you have your USB flash drive and that you have the step-by-step project guide. We're going to create a new layer. We're going to call it HUD for Heads Up Display. We're going to create a scoreboard, bring a custom font into our project, and then we're going to create a global variable called score, which is going to keep track of the score in our game. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do, we need to make sure that the rest of our layers are locked. And we're going to add a new one using the plus. Rename layer 0 to HUD, uppercase HUD. HUD is something that's used in game design. It stands for Heads Up Display. It's where you put your score, your health, any vital information. Let's set the properties of our layer. We're going to set the opacity to 80, which is going to make the layer somewhat see-through. And we're going to use something called parallax. We're going to set it to 0, 0. Parallax allows you to create a non-scrolling layer, one that always stays in the same place. When you play a game, normally the scoreboard or your health is in the same place. And by using parallax 0, 0, we're going to be able to do that with our HUD layer. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to create a scoreboard, creating a new type of object that uses text. Let's go to the project bar. Under object types, let's insert new object. Let's use the text plugin, and we're going to call it scoreboard with a capital S. Text objects are exactly what they sound like. They're for text. They don't have graphics, so we need to set their properties using the properties bar. Let's position this. Let's give it an X coordinate of 1620 and a Y of 0. Let's also size it using the properties, 250 by 100. We're going to set the text programmatically, so get rid of the text property. Let's increase the size of the font to 72 point. And we're going to give our text a custom color. Go to Other, Custom. For the red channel, 51. For the green channel, it's going to be 56. And for blue, it's going to be 57. It's going to be kind of a deep gray. We're going to horizontally align our scoreboard text box to the right. Construct 2 does a lot of things well, but it doesn't come with very nice fonts. So we're going to add a custom font to our project. Go to the project bar. Go down to Files. Right-click, Import Files. Inside our assets, we have all the files that are needed to include a font called Almendra Bold. Select the 5 files specified in the project guide. It should be everything other than the OTF that says Almendra on it. These are all necessary because every browser supports different file formats. We're going to create a family for all of our text boxes that will use this fancy font. Go to Families, Add Family. Right now, Scoreboard is the only object that we have that's of text type. Rename it to Almendra Bold, capital A, capital B. Any text box we have that's going to use this custom font will go in this family. Then we'll use Construct 2's event system to assign this custom web font to all of the text objects in the family. So let's do that now. Let's go to the Start and End Level event sheet. At the start of any level, in that Start of Level event group, we're going to add an action. We're going to put it at the very top. Add action. Choose the newly created Almendra Bold family. And we're going to set the web font for any of the objects inside of it. The family name is the name of our font, Almendra Bold, all lowercase inside double quotes. And in CSS URL, we're going to list our style sheet, Almendra Bold .css in double quotes. Let's go ahead and move this action so it's the first one listed under the On-Start of Layout event. Now we need to create a global variable that's going to allow us to track our score. Right-click, Add Global Variable. We're going to call it Score with a capital S. This is going to be of type number and initially 0. For a description, this variable allows us to track the current score of the game. It's a global variable, so we'll be able to use it anywhere. What we're going to do at the very beginning of the game is we are going to set the scoreboard. So let's add an action to our On-Start of Layout event. Let's choose our new scoreboard and let's set its text. We're going to set the text to the value of the score global variable, which at this point will be 0. But there's other times in which we want to update our score, and we're always going to have to update our scoreboard with the value of the score. We're going to do that in the Start and End Level event sheet and the Player event sheet. So what about when the player collides with enemies? When the player collides with the enemies, we end the game and we restart the layout. So one of the things we're going to need to do is reset the score to 0. Add action, System, under Global and Local Variables, set value of score to 0. Move that action up. So after the player collides with the enemy, we're resetting the score, so when the game restarts, it's 0. What about when the player collects a coin? Go to the Player event sheet, and let's do the same thing. Let's add an action. System, Global and Local Variables, add to. We're going to add 100 to the score every time a coin is picked up. But just updating the score global variable doesn't update the scoreboard. So we're going to add another action. Add action. Scoreboard. And we're going to set the text to the value of the score variable. You need to do this anytime you update the score. You need to update the scoreboard text. Let's lock the HUD layer because we're done with it. And let's test all this out. As I collect the coins, you can see the scoreboard that's pinned in the upper right hand corner goes up. And when I die, we're set back to 0. I update my score variable, it updates the scoreboard. So in the Start and End Level event sheet, make sure that you have the events and actions we added. Refer to your project guide. Double check the Start and End Level event sheet and the Player event sheet and save your game.